struggle to talking in English. Today, I have an advanced English fluency masterclass to help you improve all areas of your English. In this masterclass, you're going to improve your vocabulary, grammar, listening, pronunciation, and speaking. Welcome back to J for English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Section 1. Vocabulary. In this section, we'll review collocations, phrasal verbs, and idioms, because you probably agree that these are confusing, advanced expert topics in the English language. So, let me make them easy for you. First, let's review collocations. Collocations are fixed word pairs or groups of words that sound natural together. And the important point here is that using the wrong words sounds unnatural. So, pay close attention. Let's review this very common collocation, a decision. How would you complete this? A decision. Put the missing word in the comments, but don't think about your native language because it could be different in English. In English, we say, make a decision. Make a decision. This is a collocation, a group of words that sounds natural together, and it doesn't sound natural to say take a decision or do a decision, even though that might be the word choice that's natural in your native language. Remember, you need to still identify the verb and conjugate it with the subject and time reference to use the collocation correctly. So, the verb is make. I made the decision to learn English with Jennifer. Did you make that decision? If you did, then put, that's right, in the comments. So, notice here your verb is make, but then we conjugate that in the past simple, made. And then, make a decision is the collocation, but you can change a, which means any decision, to the, which is a specific decision, because it's the decision you made to learn English with me. So, thank you very much for making that decision. How do you complete it? Put the word choice in the comments. You take a break, which may be different from how you would say it in your native language. Now, you don't do a promise in English. Do you know what word you need instead? Do a promise sounds unnatural in English, because in English, first you make a promise. Make is your verb, and then you either keep the promise or you break the promise. If you keep it, you fulfill that promise. If you break it, you don't fulfill it. So remember, with collocations, different pairs or groups are used in other languages. Collocations don't follow set rules or patterns, so they really require memorization. Start with memorizing these, and then as you see more in your daily life, make sure you take note of them and remember them. Let's move on to phrasal verbs, another very confusing, expert, advanced topic. So, what is a phrasal verb? It's a verb plus a participle, and the participle can be a preposition or adverb. Now, it's important to know that the meaning of the main verb changes when it's used as a phrasal verb. And one phrasal verb has many different meanings depending on context, which is why they are advanced, confusing, and expert level. Now, another thing to remember, though, is that native speakers love using phrasal verbs, so they are very important for students to understand. Let's take the phrasal verb take off. So the main verb is take, and the preposition is off. And these two words together have a specific meaning, but there are many different meanings of the phrasal verb take off. For example, I always take off my jewelry before bed. You know what this means, right? I always remove my jewelry. I always take it off. But I could ask you, what time does your plane take off? So here, you probably know this one. What time does your plane depart from the ground? What if I said, my idea took off? What does that mean? I removed my idea? My idea left the ground? Well, you could think of it like that because it means my idea became successful, and on a chart, success often looks like this, just like a plane. So perhaps that can help you remember this meaning. How about this one? I'm late. I should take off. I should leave. I should leave. Or how about this one? The store took off 50% because of the scratch. So in this context, take off means reduce or subtract from the amount. So it's very important to understand the context that the phrasal verb is being used in, because that will tell you the meaning. And at the advanced expert level, you also need to understand the sentence structure of each phrasal verb type. For example, you would say, my idea took off. Now, if you wanted to use a pronoun to replace the subject my idea, you would say, it took off, because my idea is singular, and it replaces the singular. But if I say, I take off my jewelry, and you wanted to use it, you would say, I take it off. Because jewelry is an uncountable noun and is conjugated as third-person singular, even though I have more than one piece of jewelry. Now remember, these are advanced concepts. You may need to watch this lesson many times. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news, so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. Now, let's continue with our lesson. Now that you're familiar with phrasal verbs, let's learn 10 common phrasal verbs you can use in your speech every day, and at the end, there'll be a quiz to make sure you really know these phrasal verbs. Number 1, to aim at. And you aim at a target, and when you aim at a target, this means to intend to achieve that target. So, you just try. You try to achieve that target. For example, they're aiming at reducing their cost by 10%. So, what's the target in this sentence? Reducing their cost by 10%. That entire clause is the target. Now notice we have a gerund verb, so you can absolutely have a gerund verb. You can aim at doing something. So, a gerund verb. You can also use a noun. For example, his slingshot was aimed at his neighbor's garage. So, the target in this example is the neighbor's garage, and his slingshot was aimed at because that's the target he's attempting to achieve. Number 2. This is a great one. To shrug off. When you shrug something off, you disregard it. You don't consider it important. So I could say, his insult. An insult is something negative you say to another person. His insult was aimed at me, to use our first phrasal verb. His insult was aimed at me, but I shrugged it off. I said, meh, I don't care. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm not going to let it hurt me. It's not important. I'm going to disregard it. I'm going to shrug it off. Now, Notice what I'm doing with my shoulders, because this is the verb shrug. You can shrug your shoulders, and we generally do that when we want to say, meh, whatever. We tend to shrug our shoulders, so that's where this expression comes from. Number 3, to egg on. That's right, to egg on. This is a fun one. When you egg someone on, you encourage them to do something, but that something isn't in their best interest. For example, let's say a student is arguing with their teacher. Now, that probably isn't in the student's best interest to argue with the teacher, but if the other students are saying, "Yeah, keep going, you're doing great," they're egging him on. They're egging that student on. They're encouraging that student to keep arguing, even though arguing isn't in his best interest. Or, let's say you're considering doing something a little risky, like jumping off a high cliff when you don't know what's beneath you. And maybe you're not really serious about it, but the crowd eggs you on. "Oh, do it. You can do it. You should do it." They're encouraging you, even though it can have a really negative outcome. The crowd egged them on to jump off the cliff. Now, most likely, you won't use this in your everyday vocabulary, but you'll commonly hear this on TV, in movies, or when you're reading. So I wanted to share it with you so you're not confused when you see this egg on and have no idea what they're talking about. Now you do. Number 4, to turn down. When you turn something down, it means you reject that something, and we use this in the context of an offer or an invitation. For example, they offered her the job, but she turned it down. She said no to the job. So, of course, you can say she rejected, but it's very common, more common, to say she turned it down. So, you can turn down something like a job offer. You can also turn down an invitation from someone else, a social invitation, or a romantic invitation. For example, I asked Marissa out, but she turned me down. When you ask someone out, it means you invite them to dinner or coffee for romantic purposes. I asked Marissa out, but she turned me down. She rejected my offer. Number 5, to zoom in, or the opposite, to zoom out. If there are any photographers here, you already know what this means because when you zoom in, the object becomes closer, and when you zoom out, the object becomes farther away. I'm sharing this with you because everyone is meeting on video conference now. When you're having a video conference, you have a camera that's focusing on you, and it's really important to have the correct zoom. You don't want to be too close. If you're too close to the camera, you need to zoom out. If you're too far, you need to zoom in. So you might ask a colleague, "Hey, I can't see you very well. Can you zoom in?" Or a colleague might tell you, "Your picture's all blurry. You need to zoom out." So now you know what that means for your next video call. Number 6, to wiggle out of. This is a great one. When you wiggle out of something, you avoid a situation, a task, a chore, or a responsibility that you don't really want to do, and you avoid it in a cunning way. Let's say that tomorrow you're supposed to clean out the garage, but you don't really want to. However, your wife, husband, sister, or brother wants you to clean it out. Now, tomorrow, when you're supposed to clean the garage, maybe you get an urgent phone call at just the right moment, and you have to go to work and finish something. But you planned that phone call to take place right as you needed to clean the garage. So you did that in a cunning way. You tried to wiggle out of cleaning the garage. So basically, when you're asked to do something, You try to avoid it by creating a scenario where you have another responsibility. Maybe a friend asks you to help them move, but you tell them, "Oh, I have a back injury." So you hurt your back and now can't help them move. You tried to wiggle out of it. Number 7. To hold up. This is a must-know phrasal verb because we use it when you're delayed, specifically while traveling. This could be traveling on a flight or a train, so more long-distance travel, but it can also just be traveling from your office to another boardroom or from your house to the car. It can be very short-distance travel or longer travel. For example, my kids always hold me up when I'm trying to leave. You're trying to leave the house, but then your kids call out, "Mom, Mom, I need this. Help me find that. Do this for me." And they delay you when you're trying to leave. We commonly use this in the passive form, so you might have an appointment that you're trying to get to, but you're late. When you get to that appointment, you can say, "Sorry, I'm late. I was held up." To be held up, I was held up by my kids. Number 8. To hit it off. This is a great one. When you hit it off, it means you have a very positive relationship with someone right from the first time you meet them. Let's say you have a new coworker, and in the first conversation, you realize you have a lot in common. You really like the person. They're nice, they're funny, they like you, and the conversation is going well. You can say, "Wow, we really hit it off." That "it" is just your relationship. We hit our relationship off. But we almost always use it in the expression, "we hit it off." Notice how I also said we. We almost always use this expression with the subject we, my coworker and I, or we hit it off. Number 9, to get through. When you get through something, it simply means you finish it. But that something is usually a chore or an unpleasant task, something that isn't enjoyable. For example, I have 10 reports I need to get through by the end of the day. I need to finish them by the end of the day, but when I use the phrasal verb get through, it implies there's going to be some effort or struggle because I don't really enjoy the task. Number 10, to freshen up. When you freshen up, you quickly improve your appearance. So, before you go into a meeting or to a social event, you might freshen up by going to the bathroom, brushing your hair, putting on fresh lipstick, or checking your makeup. If you're a guy, maybe you put on deodorant or cologne, things like that. You quickly improve your appearance, you freshen up. So, let's say you're going out for a nice dinner. You might say, "Oh, just give me 5 minutes to freshen up." So now you have 10 new phrasal verbs added to your vocabulary. Are you ready for your quiz? Here are the questions. Hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready, hit play to see the answers. So, how did you do with that quiz? Let's find out. Here are your answers. Hit pause. Take as much time as you need to review the answers. Now, let's move on to idioms. An idiom is a group of words in a fixed order that has a meaning different from the meaning of each individual word. You know what the verb to break means, right? It means to shatter or damage something. And you know what ice is. Frozen water, of course. But what about the idiom to break the ice? Remember, a group of words has a meaning that is different from each individual word, so to break the ice, as an idiom means to make people who have not met before feel more relaxed with each other. This is very common in the workplace. For example, we played a silly word game at the beginning of the meeting to break the ice, to help everyone get to know each other and interact before the meeting starts. But remember that you need to use the idiom in a very specific fixed order, so you cannot say, "We broke an ice," or "We broke ice." You must say, "We broke the ice," because idioms have a fixed word order that can't be changed. Now, if you were talking to your friend and you said, "We broke ice at the meeting," even though one small word, the word "the," is missing, your friend, if they're a native speaker, would not understand you. And that's why these concepts are at the advanced expert level. Now, let's focus more on idioms, and you'll learn the 20 most common idioms you can use every day. Number 1, to break a leg. Do you know this one? What if I said, "You break a leg"? Do you know what that means? I'm saying good luck. We generally use this when someone is about to perform in an exam, a presentation, a job interview, or within the theatrical world if you're an actor. So I might say, "You're going to do great on your presentation. Break a leg. Good luck." Number 2, to spill the beans. Oh, this means to reveal a secret. So, you tell your friend about this surprise party you're planning for another friend, but then she spills the beans. She tells that friend, "Hey, we're planning you a surprise party." You can say, "I can't believe you spilled the beans about the surprise party." So, what about you? Can I trust you with a secret? I'm going to tell you a secret, but first, you have to promise not to spill the beans. So, put in the comments, "I won't spill the beans, I won't spill the beans," and then I'll reveal my secret. Spill the beans. Number 3, to hit the hay. Well, I'm going to hit the hay. Do you know what this means? It means I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep. So, you might tell your family, "I have an early meeting tomorrow, so I'm going to hit the hay now." You can also use hit the sack. Hit the hay, hit the sack. They mean exactly the same thing. Number 4, to bite the bullet. This is when you face a difficult situation with courage. So, let's say you made a mistake at work. That's a difficult situation, but you're going to face it. So, you're going to walk into your boss's office and say, "I made a mistake." You could tell your coworker, "I have to bite the bullet and tell my boss about the mistake." Bite the bullet. Number 5, to hit the jackpot. I hope this happens to you. This is when you experience a significant success or gain. You could say, "Winning the contract felt like hitting the jackpot for our company." So maybe the contract was for a very large amount, or it was with a really prestigious client. Hit the jackpot. Number 6, to catch someone's eye. This means to attract someone's attention or simply be noticed. Her impressive presentation caught the CEO's eye. So, notice that possessive. Catch someone's eye, the CEO's eye. How about this one? His resume caught the hiring manager's eye. Notice the possessive is after this because there's more than one hiring manager, so it's plural. Catch someone's eye. Number 8, to hit the nail on the head. This is when you describe precisely what is causing a problem or situation. To give you a compliment, I could say, "You really hit the nail on the head with your analysis." Or I could reverse it and say, your analysis of the situation really hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. Number 9, to burn bridges. You don't want to do this. This is when you damage relationships or close off opportunities. Most people do this when they end a relationship. In a business context, this would be when you quit a job. You should never burn bridges when you quit, because if you damage that relationship, you can't use that employer as a reference. Burn bridges. Number 10, to jump on the bandwagon. This is a fun one. This is when you adopt a popular activity or trend. In the YouTube world, a popular trend is YouTube Shorts. After a year of not making YouTube Shorts, I decided to jump on the bandwagon. Jump on the bandwagon. Number 11, to be in the same boat. This is one of the most common idioms. This is when you face the same challenges or are in a similar situation. Julio is nervous about public speaking, and Kazia is nervous about public speaking. They're in the same boat when it comes to public speaking. Be in the same boat. Number 12, spick and span. I love this one. This means neat, tidy, and clean. I always keep my office spick and span. How about your office? You can use this for anything. An entire room or maybe even just a desk. Spick and span. Number 13, to cost an arm and a leg. This means to be very expensive. So there's a problem with your car. You could say, getting my car repaired is going to cost an arm and a leg. Cost an arm and a leg. Number 14, cost a pretty penny. It means exactly the same thing. Very expensive. So the same example as before, but now you can say, getting my car repaired is going to cost a pretty penny. Cost a pretty penny. Number 15, dirt cheap. This means very cheap or very inexpensive. So let's say I see my best friend with this new designer handbag. I could say, wow, that Gucci handbag must have cost an arm and a leg. But then she says, actually, it was dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. Number 16, knockoff. Do you know what a knockoff is? This is a copy or imitation of a product. So my friend does not have a real Gucci handbag. It's a knockoff. Knockoff. Number 17, to hit the road. I love this one and use it a lot. This is when you begin a journey or simply leave a place. To begin a journey, you can say, I'm packed. Let's hit the road. Or you can say, oh, it's getting late. Let's hit the road. Hit the road. Number 18, to break a sweat. This is when you exert physical effort. So, at the gym, if you run really fast, you're going to break a sweat, which means you begin sweating. But we also use this in the negative. Oh, this lesson was too easy, Jennifer. I didn't even break a sweat. Break a sweat. Number 19, to be under the weather. This simply means to feel sick. You might send a message to your team saying, I'm going to work from home today. I'm a little under the weather, and I don't want to get anyone sick. Be under the weather. And finally, number 20, to call it a day. This is when you decide to stop working on something. Call it a day. This is the 20th idiom. So let's call it a day. I'm going to stop working on this video. I'm going to end the video, and you can stop as well in just a few minutes. Now notice the expression uses day. Let's call it a day. If it were 8 o'clock at night, You could say, well, it's 8, so let's call it a day, or let's call it a night. So, at night, you can choose to use night, but you can also still use day. So, you can just use day for all situations. Call it a day. We're going to call it a day now. Let's move on to section 2, grammar. But in this entire section, you're going to still expand your vocabulary as well, because in this section, we are talking about gerund verbs. This is definitely at the advanced expert level, but remember, even if you're a beginner or intermediate, I'm going to make this very easy for you. So, what is a gerund verb? A gerund verb is the base verb plus ing, and the gerund verb functions as the noun. Gerunds are used in many different ways. Number 1, the subject of a sentence. Swimming is my favorite activity. So, swimming is the gerund. It's your base verb plus ing, and it is the subject of this sentence. It's the noun. So, notice that sentence structure, noun plus verb plus object. That's the basic sentence structure in English, but our noun, our subject, is a gerund verb. Gerunds are also used as the object of a verb. You most likely know this with verbs of preference, which you learn at the more beginner, intermediate level. She enjoys. You know you need a gerund, right? She enjoys reading novels. So here, the gerund functions as the object of the verb. It tells you what she enjoys. She enjoys what? She enjoys reading novels. Now, since this is a super advanced lesson, you could take this sentence and turn it into a gerund statement, number 1, and say, reading is her favorite activity, or reading novels is her favorite activity. Gerunds are also used as the object of a preposition. This one is easy. If you have a preposition, your next verb is a gerund verb. For example, he is interested in learning, because in is a preposition, so your following verb is a gerund. He's interested in learning new languages. Now, this is a very important point because gerunds follow phrasal verbs, since a phrasal verb is a verb plus a preposition. So you could say, he put off. Put off is the phrasal verb, which means delayed. He put off asking his boss for a promotion. You need the gerund because off is a preposition. So understanding gerunds is essential to using phrasal verbs correctly. Gerund verbs are also required after certain verbs, and this simply requires memorization. For example, the verb avoid is followed by a gerund. Avoid is a gerund verb. The verb that follows avoid is in the gerund. I avoid eating junk food. It's worth. Worth is a gerund verb. The verb that follows is a gerund. It's worth learning English. Gerunds are also used as part of a compound noun. I bought new running shoes. So here, running is a compound noun with shoes. It describes the shoes. So it's not just shoes, it's running shoes. Now let's review some common gerund expressions, and I chose these expressions because they're ones that students have asked me about or I have seen mistakes with. For example, she is committed to improving her English fluency. So here the expression is to be committed to. To belongs to the expression, and to is a preposition, which is why your next verb is in the gerund, improving. And because this is an expert level lesson, remember that you can have a preposition plus noun or gerund. For example, she is committed to, I just need a noun, a something, instead of a verb and ing. Well, the something could be her English fluency, so I can simply say, she is committed to her English fluency. So you can use a noun or a gerund. You could ask, who is responsible for? Notice here the preposition is for. Then you need your gerund. Who is responsible for managing the project? This is one I see a lot of mistakes with. I'm used to waking up early. So the expression is to be used to something or doing something. We look forward to meeting the new team members. Forward to is part of the expression. It's a preposition, so you need the gerund. The consultant advised against investing in the project. So here, against functions as a preposition, so you need the gerund, advised against investing in the project. Let's focus more on one specific area where you'll use a gerund verb, and this is with the verb go plus gerund with physical activities. These are your leisure activities, your hobbies, things you do every day. Now, this is a sentence structure that we use in very specific situations, and that one situation is when we're talking about an activity that involves physical movement. So a lot of these are just the physical activities that you do as leisure activities. Now, when we talk about these, we don't follow our basic English sentence structure, which is subject plus verb plus infinitive, which is to and verb. So for example, I don't say I go to hike every Sunday. Go is our verb, and in the regular sentence structure, the following verb would be in the infinitive, which is what you see here. But this is incorrect. We need our gerund verb, which is simply a verb with ing. This is an alternative sentence structure, an irregular sentence structure that we only use in specific cases with verbs of physical activity, and movement is one of those cases. So I need to say, I go hiking. I take my verb, hike, and I simply put it in the gerund form with ing, I go hiking every Sunday. That's the correct sentence structure. So just remember that this sentence structure is subject plus go plus gerund plus verb, ing. Now remember that go is our active verb, and we're going to conjugate it according to the subject and the time reference. So when I say, I go hiking every Sunday, that's my verb, to go, in the present simple, conjugated with the subject I, because I'm talking about a routine. But let's say my time reference is yesterday. It would be, yesterday I went hiking. So remember, our active verb go is the one that's going to change and be conjugated with the subject in time reference. But the following verb, the gerund verb, doesn't change. It's going to stay in that gerund form. Yesterday I went hiking. Now I could change my subject and change my time reference, and I could say today, but as a future event, today she's going hiking. So here my verb go is in the present continuous and is conjugated with the subject she. But still, hiking doesn't change. So remember that it doesn't matter what your subject is or your time reference. The verb go is going to be conjugated, but the verb in gerund form, your physical activity, is not going to change. Now, you're probably wondering, what activities can I use this structure with? So I'm going to give you a list of the most common. This isn't an exhaustive list. There may be others not on this list. So if you can think of one that isn't on this list, put it in the comments. So let's review this list together. Running, jogging, hiking, camping, canoeing, kayaking, diving, boating, shopping, snowboarding, skiing, climbing, fishing, surfing, horseback riding. The verb is riding. Horseback just describes what type of riding, but our verb is riding. Horseback riding and dancing. Again, there may be other verbs of movement and physical activity that aren't on this list. If you can think of any, please put them in the comments below. Now, before you go, let's look at one advanced change to this sentence structure. Okay, let's look at this sentence. I could say, I enjoy going hiking. What's going on here? Now you see two gerunds. The verb go is in the gerund form verbing, and then hiking, our activity, is in the gerund form. So always remember that the verb go needs to be conjugated according to the sentence structure. Okay, so here I have I enjoy. Now, enjoy is a verb, but not just any verb. It's a gerund verb, which means the verb that comes next. In this case, go. That's the verb that comes next. It needs to be conjugated in the gerund form. So when you look at this sentence, we have two gerunds. Go is in the gerund form because it follows the verb enjoy, which is a gerund verb. Hiking is in the gerund form because it follows go in this sentence structure. And I'll say it as one. About it, and that's how these 9 words can sound like, what do you want me to do about it? Now, you also have to understand the meaning of this in order to truly improve your listening comprehension. What do you want me to do? This is asking, what actions do you want me to take? And remember, I said you need to pay attention in your daily life and learn collocations, phrasal verbs, and idioms as you are exposed to them. So here, remember, you take an action. Now, about it. Here, it represents the situation. I don't know what the situation is because we only have these 9 words, but it would represent some sort of situation. Now, you should also be thinking about what we previously learned in this lesson. We have about, which is a preposition. So technically, you could use a verb in this, but you would need to use the gerund verb. I could say, what do you want me to do about losing the client? What action do you want me to take about losing the client? Are you feeling like an English language expert? Let's move on to our final section, Section 4. Speaking. One of the best ways to improve your speaking confidence is through shadowing. This is when you repeat what you hear, but you repeat it out loud, which means you say the words and the words are audible. Someone can hear your words. You're not saying it in your head, you're saying it out loud. And while you're shadowing, you want to imitate, which means copy. You want to imitate the sounds, the pronunciation, but also the rhythm and the intonation, so you sound just like whatever you're shadowing. So let's practice this together. I'm going to say a sentence, and I will leave enough time for you to say it out loud, and I want you to copy the sounds, the rhythm, and the intonation. You will recognize these sentences because they are points we previously discussed in the lesson. Our first sentence, I'll say it 3 times. Did she keep her promise? Did she keep her promise? Did she keep her promise? We took off around 10. We took off around 10. We took off around 10. How did you break the ice? How did you break the ice? How did you break the ice? Going hiking is so fun. Going hiking is so fun. Going hiking is so fun. What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do about it? Let's keep doing more listening exercises, because at the same time, you'll improve your pronunciation and you'll also shadow me, so you improve your speaking. Here's how this lesson will work. I'm going to say a sentence 3 times at a natural, fast pace, and you need to write down exactly what you hear in the comments. The examples are going to go from beginner A1 to more advanced D2, so let's see if you can complete this whole lesson. Our first listening exercise. I'll say it 3 times. Thanks for your help. You rock. Thanks for your help. You rock. Thanks for your help. You rock. Did you get this one? I said, thanks for your help. You rock. Very easy, right? At a natural pace, native speakers reduce sounds. So for becomes F. Thanks F your becomes your. Then thanks F your help. Your help. Thanks for your help. Now, let's review a common mistake that I hear beginner students make, and sometimes even advanced students. You can say thank you or thanks. You cannot say thanks you or thank. And notice in our example we have thanks for your help. Thanks for your help. What is your help? This is a noun, so we have thanks for plus noun. You can also use thanks for plus gerund, because for is a preposition. So what would thanks for your help be in the gerund form? Do you know? Thanks for helping me. Thanks for your help. Thanks for helping me. And you rock. This is a very natural way to say, you're great. You're awesome. I use this in the comment section to reply to your lovely comments all the time. But don't say, you are rock. It is not to be rock. It is to rock. You rock, you're awesome, you're really great, you rock. Put that in the comments. You rock. Thanks for your help. Thanks for helping me. Thanks, Billy, you rock. Thanks, honey. Let's try this again. A little more difficult. I'll say it 3 times. She's starting to rub off on you. She's starting to rub off on you. She's starting to rub off on you. Did you get this one? I said, she's starting to rub off on you. She's is our contraction. She is. She's starting to. T. So instead of to, you can use an unstressed T. She's starting to rub off, because rub off is a phrasal verb. They go together. I can take that B sound and connect it to the next word, but I have to combine them together. I have to say them as one word, RB, rub off, rub off. I can also take that on and add it together, so I'm saying those 3 words as one, rayon. So here, I'm taking the F from off and I'm adding it to on. Thon, ron, rub off on you. What does this mean? To rub off on someone is when someone's behavior or personality affects someone else. Let's take Janice, and let's say Janice loves helping other people. Now let's say Fernando spends a week working with Janice, and now Fernando starts helping other people. You could say Janice rubbed off on Fernando. Here we have it in the past simple. Rubbed, rubbed off on. Janice rubbed off on Fernando. Now, you could also take the specific personality trait or characteristic, in this case, Janice's helpfulness, which is Janice's helpfulness, because the helpfulness belongs to Janice, so it's possessive. Janice's helpfulness rubbed off on Fernando, so that specific character trait of Janice transferred to Fernando because they spent time together. Marcus is really rubbing off on you. Finally, I'm rubbing off on you. My deviousness is finally rubbed off on you. Let's try this again. I'll say it 3 times. He rubs me the wrong way. He rubs me the wrong way. He rubs me the wrong way. Did you get this one? I said, he rubs me the wrong way. Notice this expression uses the verb to rub, and our last expression used the verb to rub, but they have completely different meanings. And that's why this is a more advanced listening exercise, because maybe you understood the words, but you don't know what this means. To rub someone the wrong way. This is to annoy someone, but without intending to. Remember Janice from our last example, and she was very helpful, but maybe for some reason, she just rubs you the wrong way. She annoys you, but there's nothing that she does to annoy you. Just maybe your personalities clash. They don't go together. So if you're planning a social gathering, you might say, "Is it okay if we don't invite Janice? She rubs me the wrong way." Now, an entire person like poor Janice can rub you the wrong way, but it also could be something specific that someone said or did, and overall, you like Janice, but just that one thing she said or did rubbed you the wrong way. For example, your comment just rubbed me the wrong way. So maybe she said something in a meeting that really annoyed you, but you know she did not intend to annoy you. So here, your comment. This is a noun. Your comment rubbed, the past simple of the verb to rub. And notice that soft D, rubbed, rubbed me the wrong way. Is it me? Do I rub you the wrong way? Not Jay. Guy rubs me the wrong way. She rubs everyone the wrong way. But Pop, our final listening exercise and the most advanced, I'll say it 3 times. I had a hunch he quit. I had a hunch he quit. I had a hunch he'd quit. Did you get this one? I said, I had a hunch he'd quit. Notice for pronunciation, I had a. So I combine hadda together as one word. I had a hunch he'd quit. Now did you hear that a D? He'd quit. Well, that a D represents what word? Would. He would quit. He'd quit. He'd quit. Very difficult for students to hear. Native speakers understand it based on context and based on grammatical structure. It would sound awkward without it, so we know it's there even though we can't really hear it either. When you have a hunch is the noun, and then the verb that goes with it is have. So, to have a hunch, this is when you think or predict that something is going to happen, but it isn't based on facts. It's based on your intuition, your feeling. So you could say, I have a hunch she'll accept our invitation. Now, if someone replies back and says, why? All you would say is, because I have a hunch. I have a feeling. I have a gut feeling. And notice the grammar here. I have a hunch. This is the present simple. And then she'll accept. She will accept. That's the future simple. I have a hunch she'll accept our invitation, because you're making a prediction about the future. But you could use this in the past, like our listening exercise. I had a hunch last week, in the past, so that's the past simple. Last week I had a hunch that he would quit, so would is the past simple of the verb will. I had a hunch that he'd quit, and using that is optional. You don't need it. You could simply say, I had a hunch he'd quit. I had a hunch, just a hunch. I had a hunch, but I wasn't certain. Now let's do an imitation exercise so you can practice speaking fast, just like a native. I'll say each sentence again 3 times, and this time I want you to repeat each sentence out loud. Here we go. Thanks for your help. You rock. Thanks for your help. You rock. Thanks for your help. You rock. She's starting to rub off on you. She's starting to rub off on you. She's starting to rub off on you. He rubs me the wrong way. He rubs me the wrong way. He rubs me the wrong way. I had a hunch he'd quit. I had a hunch he'd quit.